moment, play, something, pandemic, disasters and pandemic, they seem to go close together. All very bizarre. Anyway. Hi, I'm Mingma and I'm going to be reading Feste today, specifically the moment when he is late home to Lady Olivia and is putting on a bravado face / trying to really save his job. I seem to have the lucky end of the story in this project because I played Feste in Troubadour's production over the summer. Feste is the most clear representation in Shakespeare, I think, of the traditional courtly fool. That is the guy who is employed at court to run amok. He's the only person who's allowed to say anything against the ruler or the head of the court. Nobles might come to him at will, pay him full verse, or to make something up, or to sing their favourite song from the old times. And in particular with singing, in Twelfth Night, Feste has some of the most famous lines, which are actually songs. Things like Come Away Death and... what's the other one? When that I was and a little tiny boy with a hey ho, the wind and the rain. That's what it's called, the wind and the rain, which is, it feels like the precursor / antecessor from, I don't know which one came first, embarrassing, of 7 Ages of Man from As You Like It. I like playing with this slightly nefarious side of Feste. A fool would quite often be someone very clever, but because they're from a lower social class, they would never be a noble, and quite often were cleverer than the nobles who they were serving. And so there's this constant bite and edge in a lot of Feste's humour. In the play, it's this odd thing where he isn't actually part of the plot, particularly. He is funny and he comes out with some of the best lines, but in the original text, he does very little to enhance any of the traditional comedic plots. That's mostly done by traditionally noble characters in the play, which is quite an interesting mix. And the other point is that he is not the only fool in this show. So it's Twelfth Night and As You Like It are in some ways mirror opposites, or not mirror opposites, they're cousins of plays, and they're written roughly within a year of each other, and it's very clear that Shakespeare was writing for a set troupe at this point, and clearly there was some kind of transition going on in the clowns, because unusually there are 2 clowns in both these 2 plays. One is playing the melancholic fool, who is Malvolio and Jaques, and the other one is playing the traditional fool, which is Touchstone and Feste. Right at this point with this monologue, Feste has just arrived home late from who knows where. We know that he serves both households, so he might have been at the Duke's before this. And Malvolio, the melancholic fool in this play, has been berating him, and he's going, "Oh, it's fine," you know, and then his mistress appearing and he's shitting himself, pretty much. So it starts off with, "Wit and be thy will put me into good fooling. Fuck, she's here, I don't quite know what to do." And then he goes into something philosophical, and this is what happens throughout this kind of speech with Feste, that he goes on to think wits, as in meaning people who think they're quite witty, that wits that think they have thee, so wits who think they have wits, do very oft prove fools, and I, that am sure I lack thee, may often pass for a wise man. So he is sure that he lacks wits because he's a fool. So again, he's playing on this double word of fool being a profession and fool being a foolish idiot. For what says Quinapalus? Quinapalus, no one knows who the hell Quinapalus is. He's pretending to quote from some great Roman text. You can either play this, that Feste is playing on the audience's Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing of going, "Oh, you know who he is, isn't he?" And so it's a bite-back humour. Or he's again pretending to be these kind of people who think they're witty and saying, "Oh, well, look at this old great man." And he's playing into that. Depending on the character, you can choose which way. Better a witty fool than a foolish wit. Wonderful kind of double play there. "God bless thee, lady." Very obviously, Olivia's just walked in and he's shitting himself. So the first bit of this speech up until there has all been to the audience. Feste does seem to be this agent who is the bridge between the audience and the play, very similar to the traditional chorus idea in Greek theatre. He's very aware of the audience, though that being said, a lot of Shakespeare characters, they always are aware of the audience. There's no kind of thing of the fourth wall. That's a very modern idea. But Feste plays on this even more. He really much kind of, he's quite often there commenting on the scene that is going on so that the audience, so he's the mate of the audience in a way. "God bless thee, lady." Olivia's pissed off, and clearly she's not very, she's not enjoying Feste at the moment, probably because he bunked off somewhere. So Feste needs to try a heck of a lot to try and get her back on side. Two faults, Madonna, that drink and good counsel will amend. Give the dry fool drink, then is the fool not dry. Bid the dishonest man mend himself. If he mend, he is no longer dishonest. So he's saying, Miss Madonna, you've accused me of two different things. You've accused me of being sober and you've accused me of being a liar. Give me a drink and bid me mend my ways, and both of which I can do. So he's just kind of immediately rebuffing what her immediate concerns. So I get the idea in this speech that he's realised Olivia's said, I don't like you because of X and Y, but he knows there's a deeper meaning as well. So he's now rebuffed the two shallow meanings. If he cannot, let the botcher mend him. I love that word. I'm really hoping that somewhere in the etymology, botcher came to mean bodge, because it just feels so right. And just like, just say it, botcher. It's wonderful. Anyway, botcher means tailor. Anything that's mended is but patched. Virtue that transgresses is but patched with sin, and sin that amends is but patched with virtue. And now he's gone philosophical. So this is the clever side of him coming out. I always get the impression with Feste that he has this vibe of not being able to stop if he's got the floor. He needs to start philosophizing and all the rest of it. He does feel like a precursor to Jacques, in a way, of this. He says one thing and then has to continue in a certain form, though. Also, Shakespeare. That happens with Shakespeare quite a lot. Anyway, anything that's mended is but patched. So that's quite a dark metaphor, if you think about it. He's saying that you can't actually mend something back to how it was before. Virtue that transgresses is but patched with sin. Sin that amends is but patched with virtue. That, to me, sounds like he's saying there's good and evil in the world, and there's not much in between them, which is quite sad in its own form. If this simple syllogism will serve so, if it will not, what remedy? Surely this is the truth of the world, is it not? And if it isn't, well then what's the solution? As there is no true cuckold but calamity, so beauty's a flower. As there is no true cuckold is a great word for meaning a man whose wife has slept with someone else. You've been cuckolded, is the idea. What he's basically saying is that nothing fucks you more than fate, if I'm being French about this. We are all married to luck, and when she abandons us, that is the worst calamity that can befall. And that beauty is a flower, for some unknown reason. Weird. Ooh, actually, I did not plan this, but I think, okay, Twelfth Night. What does Twelfth Night say? What does the Arden say? This was the companion book which we all used doing Twelfth Night, and I highly recommend Arden Shakespeare if you ever want a companion to Shakespeare. Is that the word? I don't know. Wait, where are we? The classic seize the day topos. Horace's Carpe Diem add quotes. Beauty is but a flower which wrinkles will devour. So it means Carpe Diem. It's a Shakespeare thing of Carpe Diem. Fair enough. Beauty's a flower. Let's go with it. All right. The lady bade take away the fool. Therefore, I say again, take her away. In our production, we were very much playing on the idea that Feste is trying to talk his way out of getting fired, and is effectively being chased around the stage with people trying to evict him, and he's trying to get her to respond and then kind of to play his game, and then he will be able to get control of the situation again. So he's been going off on this kind of philosophic idea of carpe diem and of nothing is worse in life than lady luck and da-da-da-da-da, and then he says, the lady bade take away the fool, therefore I say again, take her away. Suddenly he's come with this things of him calling his mistress a fool. You what, mate? And so he piques her interest. And then the scene continues. Throughout this monologue, we also need to consider that he does continually change his audience. He's talking to one person, he's talking to the audience, then he's talking to the Madonna, to Olivia, then he's talking to Malvolio, who's also in the scene and looking very disapproving. Throughout it, he's constantly changing the beats of what his rhythm will be. And so that is going to be really interesting to try and film alone. Let's see what I come up with. We'll see. Wit and be thy will, put me into good fooling, for wits that think they have thee do very oft prove fools, and I, that am sure I lack thee, may often pass for a wise man, for what says Quinapalus? Better a witty fool than a foolish wit. Oh God. God bless thee, lady.
Go to. You're a dry fool. I'll know more of you. Besides, you grow dishonest.
Two faults, Madonna, that drink and good counsel will amend. Give the dry fool drink, then is the fool not dry. Bid the dishonest man mend himself. If he do mend, then he is no longer dishonest. If he cannot, let the botch amend him. Anything that's mended is but patched. Virtue that transgresses is but patched with sin, and sin that amends is but patched with virtue. If the simple syllogism will serve, so. If it not, what remedy? As there is no true cuckold but calamity, so beauty's a flower. The lady bade take away the fool. Therefore I say again, take her away.